And now, CCW News presents Holy Crap! This is actually happening! Meanwhile, 3/4 through January edition 2022. I'm Chuck U. Farley. The big news so far is the most popular and transparent president ever actually having his second press conference in 2 years. The remote broadcast was scheduled to last 30 minutes, but lasted just over 2 hours, while White House staff tried to collect Biden's thoughts. After several long-winded word salads, multiple painful gaps of silence, and some intermittent gaslighting, Biden declared that he's achieved more than any president in history, citing that he delivered on both his promise of a very dark winter in 2020 and a winter of severe illness and death in 2021 by nearly tripling COVID deaths with his fear of porn propaganda, illegal mandates, and continued destruction of both education and the economy. Yes, our dear leader, you have absolutely outperformed even the wildest expectations of your former boss, Barack Obama, who told Democrats, "Don't underestimate Joe's ability to F things up." Meanwhile, several countries' sudden reversal of their fascist anti-science mask and vax mandates has paranoid Pravda reporters tearing their hair out and screaming toward the sky, "How are we going to control the sheep if they're on to us?" It's almost as if several world leaders have come to their senses at once, but not good old Joe. Meanwhile, the severe shortage of home COVID tests continues. Of course, the White House has yet to address the train hijackings that take place every day in the dystopian nightmare known as California, where thousands of boxes of said test kits are thrown to the ground as thieves toss shipping boxes onto the tracks, causing several derailments. Meanwhile, the California Democrats' lack of interest in law, order, or common sense has nothing to do with U-Haul running out of moving trucks for the entire state. Meanwhile, at the Canadian border, truckers are protesting the anti-science draconian mandates on both sides. Soy boy Trudeau, who has never had a fresh idea of his own, cited French President Emmanuel Macron, who said that he created legislation designed to, quote, piss off the unvaccinated. For once in his career, he delivered. The admitted goal of both totalitarian governments is to ensure that the unvaccinated are seen as outcasts and treated like second-class citizens in society. Meanwhile, the protest convoy crossing the country has raised more than $2 million on a GoFundMe account. Raise your hand if you want to be an outcast too. Meanwhile, in the main socialist hellscape, athletes traveling to China for the Olympics have been told in no uncertain terms that they are forbidden to question or even mention the vast human rights violations which are the norm for China, particularly when it comes to the Uyghur genocide. The United States, Britain, Japan, and Australia have announced diplomatic boycotts of the games for this very reason, although not a single one of these countries is stopping their athletes from competing, so the posturing does not affect the games in any way other than each country will not send diplomatic envoys, which is a fancy word for politicians, to accompany the athletes, so it's a win-win for China. Oh, let's face it, it's a win-win for anyone except the Uyghurs when no politicians show up. Meanwhile, when Vice Hyena Harris was asked by NBC host Craig Melvin, is it time to change the administration's ineffective knee-jerk reaction to COVID, she replied, quote, "It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree that there are things and tools that are available to us to slow this thing down." End quote. Meanwhile, to cover up for their using child slave labor on their cocoa plantations, M&M Mars has announced that they're going to become more inclusive by changing one of their cartoon spokes candies' footwear. While the Asterisk administration celebrates their mentally challenged meat puppet bullying reporters, mumbling incoherently for minutes at a time before his brain goes blue screen on live TV, and then telling Russia it's free to invade Ukraine as long as Putin takes just the tip, King Brandon's subjects have launched several Change.org petitions collecting thousands of signatures to, quote, keep the green M&M sexy, end quote. I swear I'm not making this up. It's all about priorities, folks. For CCW News, this has been Holy Crap! This is actually happening. I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God help us.